Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that I've been doing this short mini-series with the Battley Tarot, and I'm continuing with that Tarot deck. Before I do a deck dive, a deep dive into that deck, probably next week. So you can mark that on your calendar. That's the plan. And it's an interesting deck. It's a challenging deck because it is not exactly one system or another that I have studied or I have practiced with. It really does ask for a new study, I believe, to really understand the significance of what looks like an, I don't want to say attempt because that sounds a little pejorative, that looks like the beginnings. It looks like the beginnings of a creation of a new system, a Renaissance system to re-esoterize the Tarot. If that makes sense. What am I trying to say? Well, the deck, and I'll get into this when I do the deck dive, is based on some very old esoteric concepts, and the deck is reworked within the framework of a larger Tarot deck. And it's, I think, very interesting. I think it's intriguing. I think it deserves study. But I also don't think it's complete. And I'll get into that next week. But it is, I think, very worthwhile, very useful, and an excellent tool. And if you've seen the previous videos I've recorded with this Tarot, I think you will agree that the Tarot, as recreated, may not be, in my opinion, complete, or completed, I should say. But still, it is very usable, and it is capable of giving a very consistent kind of reading. And so that's why I'm continuing to work with this deck, and I've got a spread all laid out for us. It's the same kind of spread that I used last week, if you saw that. If you haven't, maybe you want to go back and see. And it's interesting also because I think this series of spreads that we've laid with this deck have really felt like a series of spreads, like one message or one set of ideas flows naturally and understandably from the previous ones. And the question I ask every week is, how can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week? And so we've had a nice progression of process and development, I believe. Do you agree? Have you been following along? I hope you have, because I really do think this has been helpful for us as a community who has a desire to live intentionally, in a very specific sense of the word intention. Yeah? So, interesting spread. This one is going to be perhaps a little bit more challenging. But before we get into reading it, I will do a couple of things. First, I will say thank you. Yes, I thank you. Thank you for doing those things that you do. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Those actions help other people find us, and we grow. And it's all because of you. Thank you very much. And also, thank you for those of you who comment. And I deeply, deeply appreciate all of the people who do comment. Thank you. The next thing I will do is I will show you the spread, and then we'll talk about the spread. Are you all ready, friends? Here it is. This is a beautifully drawn deck. Don't you agree? Oh, you also notice that there is another card there, right? Yeah? There were 6 cards from the Tarot deck, the Battley Tarot. The larger card on the left, that was from an oracle deck called the Mystical Healing Oracle. It was drawn by the same artist and creator who created the Baddeley Tarot, Jake Baddeley. And the author, the one who did the writing, is Ina Segal. It's a wonderful oracle deck. I've used it before, but I really wanted to pair it with the Baddeley Tarot because they're the same illustrators. And I think they work beautifully together. You saw the oracle card and then the 6 cards from the Tarot. Just like I did, let's see, last week, I laid the oracle card first as the first response to the question, how can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week? And after I looked at that card, then I shuffled the Tarot deck and laid the 6 cards. Yeah, so the 6 cards are there to help us unpack that oracle card, which was the first or the primary response to the question. And you saw that there are 3 tarot cards above and 3 tarot cards below, right? So the 3 cards above, they point to what's in our conscious sphere, what is on our minds, what are we perceiving. And then the 3 cards below are what is our foundation or what is there beneath the surface. Now, what's bubbling beneath the surface, right? So, 3 cards. They're not laid positionally. Yeah, they're not laid in first card is the significance, second card challenge, third card advice. We're not doing that. They're telling a story from left to right. Yeah, and when I read Tarot de Marseille, if you know me, you know that I read those cards directionally by the line of gaze. And I don't mean group of homosexuals standing in a line. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the line of sight of the people pictured in the cards. And I don't really do that for this deck. I suppose I could, but I don't. Sue me. Okay? So we're going to read these cards from left to right. We'll start off with the oracle card, and I'll put that right up here. When this card came out, I was a little happy and disappointed. What do I mean? Happy that it's a positive card. That's a good thing. Disappointed that the title is It's a Yes. Now, before I looked at the book, I thought, I did not ask a yes-no question. What am I supposed to do with It's a Yes? And so I looked at the book. And what does the book tell us? Well, what does this card tell us? What do we see? We see a female presenting figure with a mask or maybe spirit there beside her. The first time I thought it was a mask that had come off of her, but on closer inspection, it's not a mask that has come off. It is another face that is flying beside her. And that is a disembodied face, so perhaps spirit, yeah? And she's flying there across what looks like a wall. Yeah, and her garments are ribbons, which is beautiful. Her hair is flowing in the wind as she flies forward, which is beautiful. The clouds are in the background. And there is just behind and between her hands, which are behind her, there are letters, and I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why that says figure B. I looked there's a card that says it's a no, so I thought, oh, that must be figure A, but it's not. I don't know why that figure B is there. If it was from an original piece of art that was transferred, I don't know why that figure B was not erased if it doesn't signify anything. If it does signify something, it's not indicated in the guidebook. So I really don't know. We see feathers coming off of one hand, right? And we see what looks like a streamer in the other. Beautiful card, beautiful image. So we got that impression of flying, right? Freedom, maybe guided by spirit, maybe companioned by spirit. And if you'll recall, last week we had that idea that whatever we want to call it, whether we want to call it our eternal natures, which is the way I like to call it, or whether we want to call it the divine or our guardian angels, or we want to call it the universe, or we want to call it something else. There is something non-physical that is with us at all times, ever present, and experiencing our lives through us. And there are times when we can receive that help, and there are times when we can resist that help. That was last week, wasn't it? I think it was last week. I feel like it was last week, but go back and check. If it wasn't last week, let me know in the comments below. So, this card tells us that we want to discern what is healthy for us. What does that mean? Are we talking about food and alcohol? That's part of it, I'm sure, yeah. We want to make sure our physical form is healthy, yes. But I think it's a larger idea, yeah. We want to make sure we are emotionally healthy. We want to be sure that we are psycho-spiritually healthy, yeah, that we have a good spiritual health practice, as well as a psychological health practice, whatever that is, whether it's having a therapeutic counselor to walk us towards greater psychological health, or other practices which help us to eliminate psychological toxins and grow mentally, psychologically, as we have these human experiences in this physical universe. Yeah? We have that option, and we want to discern what is healthy for us and what is not healthy for us. So discernment is the first step towards leading an intentional life for us in this coming week. Yeah? And sometimes we want to recognize that we resist or sabotage ourselves as we know that we want to live healthy lives. We stand in our own way. Yeah? We might get an opportunity, whether we recognize it or not, and we sometimes sabotage ourselves. Yes? We might resist something good coming our way. We might procrastinate and not do the things that need to be done so that we can open up, so that we can have the space to receive the good stuff. Yeah? And sometimes what is actually good stuff, we confuse and we think maybe it's not good stuff. Have you ever done that? Have you ever resisted something and then later discovered, oh, I shouldn't have resisted that. That would have been a good thing in the long run. Or have you resisted something and then given in and then realized, oh, why was I fighting this? This is good. Have you had either of those experiences? This card is telling us discernment, right? Getting out of our own way as well. And because this is it's a yes card, we also want to acknowledge that our opportunities are expanding at this time. Yes? So it's important for us to take our well-being, including our strengths and our weaknesses, into account. Yeah? There are some weaknesses that we all have. That doesn't mean we're bad. It doesn't mean that we are insufficient. It just means that there are areas of our lives where we have less skill or less finesse or less information than others. And we maybe want to spend some time with those areas of less facility and perhaps allow ourselves to expand our capabilities. Maybe we also want to lean into our strengths. And we want to do that in order to maintain our well-being. Yes? And if something positively excites us with this card, like this girl flying through the air, if something makes us feel like we can take flight. Have you ever had flying dreams? I had one recently, a couple of weeks ago. Last week. They're for me, they're not scary. They feel effervescent, is the best way I can describe it. There's an effervescence to the feelings that I have when I have a flying dream. And how do you fly in your dreams? Do you fly in your dreams? If you do fly, I think we all have our own methods in our dreams for flying. Now, some of us fly like birds. Some of us just soar. Some of us gradually increase our altitude in one way or another. I tend to be one of the slow flyers. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I don't take off and go flying generally. I generally, it's like I lean into pockets of air that buoy me up higher and higher, bit by bit. Yeah? It's not like I'm levitating. It's like I'm using pockets of air as if they were balloons, and they're not visible balloons or visible pockets of air. It's just that I lean into these pockets and I bounce up and up, not bouncy up and up, but I do bounce up and up and up in this kind of fashion. Yeah, that's my mode of flying, and there's an effervescence to that. And I think when we get that feeling of effervescence, of there's something good here, we want to follow that feeling. We want to take a step forward. We want to allow our powerful current of intention to carry us in that direction and allow ourselves to open to that. And it might take a physical act of actually taking this step forward. And we also want to take time, again, this was mentioned in previous spreads, to do loving and nurturing things for ourselves. Yes, we want to say yes to ourselves as well as to those things that give us those positive feelings. Now, that seems like a very clear way to live intentionally in the coming week, does it not? So that was the beginning of our spread. Now we've got 6 cards of Tarot. And did you notice that 3 of them were upright and 3 of them were reversed? Just like last week. Yeah? Basically, I told you, this was the same spread as last week, the same format. And, again, I don't know if you noticed this, but we have representatives from all of the suits except one. We do not have any coins. We don't have any earth in this spread, which makes me think that perhaps in this week we might want to make sure we have grounding, that we have some stability for ourselves, that we might have the potential of losing some stability, of losing some of our grounding. So we want to give that more attention as we do that self-care action indicated by the Oracle card, that we want to nurture ourselves and do loving things for ourselves. That will strengthen the earthy, perhaps even Tauran qualities that we all carry within us, which are somehow and somewhat lacking in this week's spread. We've got a lot of air. Well, okay, not a lot. There are two air cards. We have one fire and one water. No earth. And we have 2 major arcana. So there's some power here. And both of the major arcana cards are at the end of each of the lines, which is interesting. Yes? So we'll start off at the top. At the top, from left to right, we had the 6 of batons reversed. We had the 7 of swords in the center, and then the wheel of fortune reversed. That got me a little nervous at first. First thought was, oh no, bad luck. But that's not where we're going with this spread. Okay, so we'll start off with this 6 of batons card, and I will show it to you upright. I will show all of the cards upright, even though some of them, half of them, are reversed in the spread. So I will look at it upright too, just so I can see better, because the kind of line work in this deck is frankly a little bit challenging for me to see quickly. I need to really gaze at the image. And what we see here is, this is a sun card. The 6s are all sun cards. Yeah, this is the sun in an air suit, because batons in this deck are air, not fire. Just remember that. And so we have the Saul figure here, standing with the sun grasped lightly in his hand, in his arm, and he's standing within the 6-pointed star, right? One of those batons is very discreetly covering part of his private parts, right? So we've got that 6-pointed star, which also points towards as above, so below, fire and water, which are technically, elementally ill-dignified, which means they fight with each other, they dampen out each other's energies. But together in one star, there's a fullness, a completion of those two as well. We see at the bottom left-hand side a lion rampant for Leo, because the sun is domiciled in Leo. But this card was reversed, if you recall. And so what does that mean for us? This card is telling us that we may be plagued by doubt or misapprehension. We might not understand or fully know or misconstrue what's going on. Yes, which kind of makes sense for an air card reversed. There's stuff going out there that we might misunderstand, we might not trust, or we might be confused about. Or we might get it wrong, we might see it incorrectly. And it might be giving us the feeling that nothing is working out for us. Now, that's not a really happy way to start this spread, right? We might feel like we need to know something, but we don't. There's something out there that we're missing, that we don't understand. We recognize that. So what do we do with that information? Well, the guidebook for this deck suggests that, like the 6s are beauty and harmony, we want to seek harmony. Yeah, we want to seek harmony, maybe with music, maybe with dance, maybe with breath work, whatever gets us into balance, and your flavor might be different from mine. Whatever gets us into that balance harmonically, it will be beneficial for us. Rather than getting out there and finding out that thing that we don't know, we want to get ourselves into balance. Which is another way to say that we open to the power of intention as well. And so the way to open to our power of intention for each of us might be different. Music might help you. Dancing might help you. Yeah? breath work, meditation might help you. Doing something at home or at work might seem out of place. Yeah? Or are there things that you experience in your home life or in your work life that don't feel like they fit? And if there are things that give us that feeling that they don't fit, that they're not correct, that they are out of place or they're out of balance, is there something that we can do to modify that or to remove that from our environment, at work or at home? Because we want to find ways to establish and maintain our harmony. That's what this card is really, really pointing towards. And things that we might want to do are finding our own personal harmony and then look at where we are and what is disharmonious there, and can we shift that to harmony or remove it from our experience. Because harmony and balance are key for us right now. Especially because, are you experiencing that you feel like things might not be fully understood, that there's something out there that we need to know but we don't know it, or there are things that we think are orange but they're actually blue? That we misunderstand things, and that's making us feel mentally unstable. So finding the stability, finding the harmony without needing to go grab that information that we feel like we're missing. And so that moves us. We flow into the Seven of Swords, which in this deck is fire. And sevens are all about Venus in this deck. And so here you see Venus with Cupid, Aphrodite, Eros, Venus, Cupid, right? Venus with Cupid. Here we see the Venus symbol in the upper left-hand corner. We see the fire symbol in the upper right-hand corner. And then below we have both Libra. Right now you see Libra upright, the scales, right? And then upside down, you see that's actually supposed to be a bull for Taurus, because Venus is domiciled in both Libra and Taurus. And this card was upright, just like it's shown here. Beautiful card, lovely interaction between Venus and Cupid here. You see the seven-pointed star behind her, created by the swords of fire. And so what is this card telling us? We want to embrace the flames of our passion. That sounds cool, right? Embrace the flames of our heart's desire. And we want to acknowledge that it is a gentle but fiery passion. It's not a passion that will consume us and everything around us, but the gentle but fiery passion that resides within our hearts for what we want to do, who we want to be. And our job is to maintain that flame and to become it. We want to... Do you know the Fantastic Four? You know the Human Torch? Not like that. Yeah. When we say we want to become the flame, we don't want to become the Human Torch, because the Human Torch burns everything around him. Or her. I assume that in some universe, the Human Torch could also be a woman or a non-binary person, or a them, yes? So we don't want to do that. But we do want to become that flame of desire as we nurture that flame within our hearts and maintain it. Because that flame within our hearts can sputter and die without nourishment. Yes? And how can that happen? Well, routines, social pressures, those doubts that we got from the Six of Swords, the Six of Batons, yeah, right? Those doubts that we don't understand everything, that we might be misunderstanding something or have gotten something wrong. Those things can also dampen the flame. Or we get so entangled mentally by those thoughts that we forget about the flame that's there, and so it dwindles. So we want to practice our commitment to the sacred fire that lies within each one of us. And so, do you do daily draws? If you do, wonderful. If you don't, maybe this would be a good time to start. Yeah? And when I've been doing this recently, and it's interesting because this question came up in almost the same format that I use the question in the guidebook. So, what I mean is, I have my set of questions, and the set of questions for this card in the guidebook practically match the ones that I ask. The question I ask is, how can I ignite the flame? How can I ignite the flame of divine love in my heart, and how can I become it? That's the question I ask every time I do my daily draw for myself. I know there are other people who ask, what would it benefit for me to know? Where will my focus be in the coming day, right? My question for the last month or so has been the one I just said. How can I ignite the flame of divine love in my heart, and how can I become it? Yes? And so the questions indicated by the guidebook for this practice are, how can I express the love in my heart, and how can I express this love, and how can I become it? How can I express this love, and how can I become it? Just a little bit different, yeah? Because the author of the deck, the illustrator of the deck, Jake Baddeley, sees that the sacred fire, the fire within our hearts is sacred. So, how can I express this love, this sacred fire, this love? And how can I become this sacred fire, this love? A good question to ask. And then we want to ask ourselves, in addition, outside of this practice, how can I share this fire with other people? Or other beings around me? Yeah? It doesn't always have to be human. Yeah, we can share the fire with our non-human friends, our non-physical friends. And we want to bring that fire out into the world. And like I said, that fire needs fuel. So we want to fill, in order to fill our hearts with that love, we also want to do things that bring us joy. Now, Joseph Campbell says, follow your bliss. So anything from a deep practice of meditation to a playful game with yourself or others, anything that brings you joy, true joy, will be also a good practice for us in this coming week. To enliven, to find the effervescence of life. Oh, heck, that might be the title of this video. Find the effervescence of life. Maybe. We'll see. I might forget it. Okay, so there we are. That's the next card. And this flows into the card that I was worried about. Yes? The Wheel of Fortune reversed. What is this card telling us? It's telling us, well, first, what is the card? It's a beautiful card. We've seen this card before, last week, in fact. Last week, it was upright. And we see Fortuna there at the wheel. And we see figures around the wheel. a royal figure at the very top straddling the wheel. There are figures going up on one side and coming down on the other. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 figures on this wheel. How many do you see? Let me know this in the comments below. Oh, maybe that was a sixth figure. Maybe there's a baby down there on the way down. Anyways, so there are 5 or 6 figures on the wheel. Lovely card. The banner says Wheel of Fortune at the top. At the very bottom of the wheel, there is a symbol, which I'm not exactly sure what it is. It looks like maybe, looks a little bit like a skull and crossbones from my position now, but I'm sure it's not. Anyways, lovely card. The Wheel of Fortune reversed is telling us that we may be resistant to change. Yeah? And that resistance was indicated in the it's a yes card, right? That sometimes we do resist the good stuff coming to us. So this card is pointing to the potential for us to be resistant to change. And even the good stuff is a change, right? We might not be fulfilling our intentions or our destiny, if that's a word that makes more sense to you. This card is pointing to the probability that our evolution has stagnated to some extent. Maybe we're afraid of making mistakes. Maybe there are fears of failure that are preventing us from growing. But if we don't grow, if we don't take chances or make mistakes even, we do not evolve. Does that make sense? And maybe we've encountered some unlucky events. Maybe there have been some failures recently that we might have feared, or that we might have been pushing away from ourselves. But sometimes those events that seem unlucky, sometimes those things that look like failure actually have blessings in disguise. And so maybe we want to open ourselves to experiencing everything that's happening, everything that's going on, for our growth, for our evolution, for our movement with the powerful current of intention. Yes? So we might want to look back at our past experiences to see what times and in what instances things that seemed like failures or unlucky events were actually for the best, were actually giving us a blessing, so that we can see the bigger picture of what we are experiencing now and not be so reactive to things that are in our experience. And we might want to ask ourselves, what does our eternal nature, what is our eternal nature, the universe, the divine, want us to do next? And we want to surrender to life's flow. We want to surrender to our power of intention and trust that the power of intention that we all have is leading us in the direction of our evolution and our growth and our experiencing things that we have chosen for ourselves. And sometimes, in order to evolve, to become the people who will have the experiences that we have chosen for ourselves, we will also experience things that we will label failure or unlucky, and yet they are for our benefit. Seeing the big picture. Yes? And that idea of what our eternal natures want for us next, what the divine wants for us next, what destiny wants for us next, what the universe wants for us next. But I feel, personally, that it is our eternal natures that have the desire for our evolution. And sometimes, because we get so focused on the material aspects of our lives, we forget the greater intention that we ourselves have as eternal beings having this human experience. It's not like there's this eternal nature and then there's us and there's a separation and we got to get connected. I believe that none of that is true. What is true is that the eternal nature that we are is experiencing this three-dimensional universe through this physical form that I have, through the physical form you have. And sometimes we get so distracted by what's going on, we forget the eternalness of who we are. That's not some other being controlling us. We are not the puppets of our eternal nature. We are not the owners of our eternal nature. We are our eternal nature. Yes? But sometimes we forget. And part of the game of this three-dimensional universe is forgetting and then remembering. Yes? And then being able to open up to that power of intention that we have potential access to. Now we move down into the underground, into the underworld of what's bubbling beneath the surface, or what is underneath the things that we're experiencing up above. Yes? And we start off with the Two of Cups card in reverse. Here it is upright. Lovely card, looking very binary. Day and night, right? The night sky on the left, what looks like a daylight on the right. There's liquid coming out of the cup on the right. And in that stream of liquid, it looks like there's something else coming out too, and I'm not exactly sure what that is. On the left, it looks like there are flames coming out of that cup. Does it look like flames to you? Lovely card. We've got the night and the day, those two spheres coming together with a Vesca Pisces in the center. We have the zodiac around the outer, the circular frame within the square frame of the card. Lovely card. What is this telling us in reverse, though? It's telling us maybe we are having feelings of isolation or loneliness or yearning or a desire for wholeness and yet a feeling of lack of that. Wholeness being a lack of a partner, maybe a lack of internal wholeness, internal integration within a group. We lack that. We feel a lack here in relationship. Maybe we feel separated from others, an individual or from a group, our tribe, our family, whatever. We feel isolated, separated. Does that ring true for you? And maybe we're craving deeper connections than the ones we're experiencing. That might be it. It might not necessarily be that we feel isolated or separated, but we just is not an appropriate word here. We feel perhaps some sense that our relationships could be stronger, could be deeper, could be more integrated, could be more connection. And maybe we're still trying to find our place in the world, in that group, or of our friends, our family, or the greater group of humans on the planet Earth. So, this card might be calling us to find a community and join it wholeheartedly. Join it, yeah? A group that aligns with our values, our core essence, our desires, or our interests. It doesn't have to be all of those things, but at least some of those things. We want to join a group that aligns with who we are. To at least some extent, if not a great extent. Yeah? Maybe it's time that we also enjoy some alone time. Yeah? So, those feelings of loneliness, the feelings of separation, or feelings that we are not connected, or the connection could be so much stronger, is an indication that we're grasping for things as well. Yeah, we're feeling some suffering because we want something that is not here in our hands. Whether it's a relationship, a group connection, or a deepening, a stronger, more meaningful connection. We feel like something is missing, right? But maybe the solution could be going out and finding it, sure, but it could also be stopping the search and enjoy this time of being with self. And I'm leaning more towards enjoying the time of being with self for this spread. Reconnecting with ourselves. But especially, this was beneath the Six of Batons, right? Which was saying that we want to find balance, we want to find harmony, and going out and finding a new group probably isn't seeking harmony. Enjoying the alone time could be that path of finding harmony, finding balance. Because those feelings of isolation can be transformed into opportunities for growth. And I think that's where this spread is pointing us towards. Now, as we move towards foster the effervescence of life, we are evolving, we are growing. That effervescence is an indication of our evolution and our growth. And so maybe some time of isolation, it can be an opportunity for that, without the distraction of other people around. Yes? So, instead of looking for external integration, looking for more internal integration. Finding that balance of night and day within ourselves. The conscious and the unconscious, right? The starry night, the unconscious, and the bright sun of the day, the conscious. Finding some integration there and enjoying that and reveling in who we are as we foster that effervescence within ourselves. And the divine spark with that. Remember that divine flame of love that we want to kindle, to maintain, to nourish, can also be done by doing the action of this Two of Cups reversed, of in isolation enjoying that being who we are. Yes? And now we flow into for you that would be flowing this way, flowing into the Three of Batons. And here's the card right there. We've got what? So all the threes are Saturn. And we've got a very dapper looking Saturn here. Look at those flowy pants that he's wearing, covering up part of his feet. Yeah. His beard and hair neatly groomed, and he's got these beautiful horns growing out of his head. In the upper left-hand corner, we have the symbol for Saturn. Well, that's one form of the symbol for Saturn. In the upper right-hand corner, we have the symbol for air, because this is batons, which is an air suit in this deck. And then below, we have on the left the glyph for, or the symbol for Capricorn, which is a domicile for Saturn. And upside down for you and for me right now, we have Aquarius on the right, also a domicile for Saturn. This card was upright. The next card was also upright, which is a little scary. But the three of batons was upright. So what is this telling us? It's telling us that good results can come from strong, simple foundations. And having an ambitious goal is wonderful. And they deserve to be achieved. And the way to achieve those ambitious goals is to begin with a simple, not a complicated, simple foundation. Because Saturn is what? Saturn is the one of boxes, which can be trapping. We could feel confined and trapped by them, but they also give us a good, strong foundation. Yes? Boundaries, borders, structure, simple. Like a square is simple, a cube is simple. That kind of a foundation will benefit us. We want to keep our thoughts and our ideas simple right now. We don't want to overcomplicate things. We'll save time and effort if we, you know that acronym KISS, keep it simple stupid? That could be our motto for this week, in addition to how can I express the love in my heart and how can I become it, right? We want to do it by being simple. Remaining true to the essence of what we are doing and who we are. What is that project? What is that ambitious goal? We want to keep true to that. The essence of it. Simply. Clarity is simplicity as well. So we want to have clear vision. Remember, this is an air card, right? We want to have clear vision. Good foundations will produce good outcomes with clear vision and simplicity. Keeping it simple, stupid. Yes? That's what this card is pointing us towards. And this was beneath the Seven of Swords card, right? Which was the passion for divine love, igniting, maintaining the fire and becoming the fire of divine love. Feeding the fuel within. Yeah? Being playful. But not a complicated game, right? Keeping it simple. The next card, the Tower card. Yeah, right? Upright. Beautiful card, though. I mean, typical Tower card. We've got the crown being blasted off from above, from a fire coming down from above. Yes, we got two figures flying out. We've got a checkerboard ground beneath the tower, which is interesting. There are stairs going up. It vaguely reminds me of an image of the Tower of Babel in some prints I've seen in the past. We've got a circular frame within the square frame of the card. In the upper left-hand corner, it looks like we've got some kind of a sigil, and I don't really know it for what it is off the top of my head. In the upper right-hand corner, it looks like a hand, maybe the hand of God, sending down this flame, perhaps. You'll notice that even though the Major Arcana has been reorganized, this is still card 16, right? So we're back on track, starting with the Devil and the Tower. Yes. So what is this card telling us? Upright. Right underneath that Wheel of Fortune card, which was reminding us that we might be experiencing some stagnation. We might be resisting the things coming towards us, right? The Tower says the collapse of the small self in this deck. Yeah? Our firm facades are shattered or should be shattered, because a facade is not the reality of the structure. The facade is just the pretty, wrapping on the front or the outside of something. Buildings with facades, yeah, the front part looks real pretty, but the building behind looks really, really different. If you look at the three other sides of the building, if it's a four-sided building, there are perhaps other possibilities, but still the facade, the front side facing part, is there for decoration only. It's not the structure. Clearing that away. And we might feel a loss of security with that, right? Because that's our protection. That's what we feel keeps us safe inside. And so when that vanishes and our true self is revealed, that could be unsettling and disturbing, disquieting even. Yes? But still, it's a freeing of the soul within us from the delusions that we have fostered for ourselves. And we're awakening to our higher state. And I don't like the word higher. I would say to our eternal natures. We have the potential to awaken again to the eternal natures that we are. So it's time to adapt to our situations, yes? Maybe some groundbreaking and rebuilding of the foundations indicated in that Three of Batons before this card could be beneficial. Yeah, remember those simple, clear foundations? We might need to rebuild to create those. Some introspection and some self-reflection, which was also indicated in the Two of Cups card, which was before this card and the one before, right? Could be beneficial. And it could provide us with a new center of stability, a new foundation. And remember, crumbled walls will give us a better view, a more open view, a wider view of what is around us. And remember, we wanted to have that broader perspective. So this crumbling of the facade is a blessing in that case and in that sense. We get that. So if the facade crumbles because of some perceived untoward incident, or whether we crack it open ourselves, the cracking open is of benefit for us in this coming week. And doing those things that the Tower card also indicated, introspection, looking at ourselves, fostering the eternal nature, our appreciation for and our understanding that we are an eternal nature having this experience will be of great benefit for us. This is a very powerful spread. It has the potential to make us feel a little unsettled, perhaps. Does it make you feel unsettled? I can totally get that. But remember, we're starting off with it's a yes. This is a yes week for us. So what is this spread recommending for us? What core information can we extract from this spread? We want to foster the effervescent qualities that are potential in our lives. We want to look within, nourish the flame of divine love within, take some time to explore who we are. Understand that there might be some times when we feel disconnected or not as strongly in relationship with others. That there might be some big changes going on for us right now, and we might have the instinct to resist that, but that is not the way that we are going to live our lives intentionally in the coming week. We want to foster the fire within, the delight within. We want to foster harmony and balance, right? And we want to do it simply. We want to keep our thoughts and our plans simple. And allow the thing that we've been hiding behind to crumble so that we see truly and we show ourselves to be truly who we are. And that's the way for our possibilities to expand. And if when we do feel those positive things sparkling within us or around us, we want to follow those things. Yes? Does that make sense? If it does, let me know in the comments below. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. What does this spread say to you? Do you feel any echoes within your life? Does this have significance for you at all? Let us know. And we can learn from each other. Now, in just a moment, the QR code and the web address for my online tarot shop will appear before your very eyes. If you want to go over there, check out what I have on offer, I welcome you. And now, as always, friends, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.